I could walk out this door right now and be shot in the head by a stray bullet, and boom, it's over. Like, this would be the last thing I ever do in my life. So every waking moment, just be grateful for it. You know, if you are having an interaction with your friends, or if you ate a nice home-cooked meal from your parents today, be grateful for that, right? Because those things are limited, right? You're only going to have so many home-cooked meals. You're only going to have so many conversations with your best friend. It's only going to happen so many times before it's only going to be a memory. Let's get started. I think the question of the day, or at least the topic of the day, is Gen Z cooked? Now, I know we have a wide audience, a lot of age ranges, but by definition, cooked means doomed, set to fail, and everlasting or ever looming. Just a disaster waiting to happen. We see this a lot with, empires that fall and things like that. But the reason being is that as the years progress, a lot of us get older. And I feel like with the age, the knowledge and maturity expected to match isn't necessarily found together, at least in my experience with our generation. I know a lot of things have changed from generation to generation. You see the boomers, the baby boomers, how they grew up, what the world was like when they were kids and transitioned into adults. Then you go to Gen X, how they were kids and then they transitioned into adults. And now you come to us, Gen Z. And our world is radically different than anything the world has ever seen. Of course, we have the introduction of technology and very advanced technology. With that being said, too, and you just have these things that kind of are like it's like a mastermind plan to just take advantage of the young. And this is no blame to anyone. Well, actually, this is blame to both parties. Actually, one to the predator, another one to the prey. We're of course the prey in this instance, but I feel like some fault is on us too, just because the lack of awareness that many kids, young adults, even infants, are just growing up with. I have a little sister. She's like 5-something years old, but she's a doom scroller. I don't know if you know what that means, but it's just like this every single day. She's like by definition an iPad kid, and really, I don't know how to correct that behavior, because if you live your life at such a young age being influenced by a screen and some pixels, who knows what to say when you finally grow up and mature into an adult, the effects that could have on you. But Roger, let me ask you this: what are your thoughts heading into adulthood, especially with all the things you've seen going around in the world? What do you say is the correct course of action for anyone listening?
Okay, so I mean, like, we could start with the negative when it comes to technology and the consequences associated with social media, what it does to our brains, and I guess like what's really going on behind social media. Why are we so addicted to it, right? And that's because there are scientists, people in lab coats, some of the smartest people in the world, creating these algorithms to addict us, to try and keep us as long as possible on social media, right? And that's just because so that the longer we spend on social media, the more ads we see, so the more money they make, right? But you get these dopamine hits every time you open your phone. I mean, I've become so addicted to my phone. I'm sure a lot of the viewers have as well, to where you just grab your phone from your pocket for no reason at all. You're just grabbing it. You probably grab your phone 200 times a day. I mean, for what reason? Right? So they've created this psychological thing to us, right? They really messed up our brains in a really weird way. they did it without us even knowing. So I would say once you become aware that social media is not just connecting with your friends or your family anymore like you used to be, then you can start taking the correct action to try and stay away from social media, right? Like, I feel like we have become a society that is suffering from abundance, right? And the only way to be happy, or like, let's say, have some sort of peace in your life, is to put the phone down and connect. So we're almost connected to too much society at this point, and I think that is one of the main problems a lot of Gen Zers, I guess that's what we can call ourselves, have. We are literally too connected to everything. And then let's go to like the news, right? So in the olden days, in the far yonder, or the before times,
The 2000s, no.
2 years ago now, there were just two local newspapers in your city, right? A good story came out, something really important, right? There was just those two local newspapers or whatever, But now CNN came along, and then they commoditized the news. So now the news is 24/7. So now you have all the information, all the facts, all this useless stuff that you don't even need in your life to benefit you. Because back in the day, news was important. Someone came to you on a horse or something with news. But that was important. But now you have so much news, so many facts. It's just overflowing. It's overloading your brain, right? So that, like, we can also go into like why social media is so political now and stuff like that as well. But it's, I would say, is disconnecting, like, truthfully, and try and connect back to yourself, because we are so uncomfortable just being with ourselves, with our own thoughts, with our mind, and a lot of anxiety stems from that, a lot of other things as well. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I want to make a couple points to that. The first thing is that I was at the barber shop the other day, and they got like the TVs going on, and I was there like 5 o'clock on a Tuesday or something, and they had the news going, and then in my mind I'm like, I wonder how how do these news stations just have so much content to put out? Like, at least some of it has to be just useless volume, because there's no way every single thing that's aired has to be worth airing. Because if it's constantly running 24/7, like, there's just no way everything has to be worth listening for, and everything is worth consuming. It's just kind of like, at what point does it just get monotonous of the same old, this story just a different font, like this script just different characters. I'm like, at some point people are gonna have to realize that they're just kind of listening to the same thing over and over again, but it's just different, tiny tweaks in the story that just make it that much unique from the last one. But in reality, the grand picture of it is that it's the same thing just over and over again, and I feel like it's just like useless consumption. And I will credit our generation to this, because I don't really think a lot of us watch the news as much as the older generations do. But I do think where we find our fault at is that we're very addicted to the decentralized content, right? We find ourselves scrolling on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, anything that we can get our hands on, to just constantly get those dopamine hits. And as the world gets more immersive, that growing addiction is only going to enlarge and, enamor more and more growing audiences as well. Which is why I think that the people behind this, whoever they may be, are extremely smart in this domain, or that they're starting them extremely young, straight out the womb, boom, screen, Coco Melon, whatever, right? But that's in preparation for when these things come out. Apple is just releasing their Vision Pro in like a couple of weeks. Google already has their headsets. They're on like the 3rd edition by now. And I've got a chance to try some of these devices out, and I'm not gonna lie, they're really fun to use. But that's with the limited technology and capabilities of them right now. If you give 4 or 5, maybe even 10 years, those things are going to be radically different than what they are right now. I mean, just look at the iPhone. 20 years ago, it was like a brick. Now it's just like this, cool 4K screen, everything like that. All these features. Could you imagine that as a VR headset, what we're entering is literally a shift in how the world is going to behave. Of course, we've seen this with the 2022 AI boom. That radically changed the world as well, too. Who knows what's to come in 2024? 2023 was kind of like a transitional year where people just got used to the changes from the previous year. This year, I think we'll probably follow the same course of action where nothing too major is going to break out. I mean, I guess, again, you never know. But I do think by 2030, we will see a radically different world. I keep on using that word, but, the world will be extremely different than how it is today. And I do not know whether to be scared or excited for it. But one thing that I can say is that enjoy the present, because this moment will never happen again.
Should we talk about the negatives associated, or the
I think
potential negatives or the potential positives?
I think we can bring up both points. We can start with the negative, then erase that one with a positive.
Yeah.
One thing, obviously, is that there's going to be a bunch of, money-based actions, whether that be advertisements, scams, anything that take money out of your pocket and put it into someone else's pocket. I would guarantee you're going to see an uprising of those, wherever that may be in the form of, content, whatever, gambling, whatever like that. That is going to be a huge thing in the future, just because, that's like what everyone works for, money. So it would only make sense that that's, the root of people's actions and goals, at least as we enter into this technological obsessed world. But the other thing is that influence. I want to bring up influence real quick. As we have it right now, there are some people who have massive... Taylor Swift, just for example, right? She has a huge... I'm talking global. I think the last person to have this type of audience is like Michael Jackson or something like that. They're like a worldwide icon. And it's crazy. You have like people literally fighting each other for talking smack about Taylor Swift. Like the amount of control she has over people is actually insane. And I mean, no discredit to her. I think she's a good artist. But I think that type of behavior is just kind of... It's a little crazy to think about from a step back perspective. It's because you have hundreds of millions of people idolizing a single person who does not know them. It's a parasocial relationship that has gone way over the line of, a normal content fan or fan celebrity interaction. People have, I think, who was it? I think it was Harvard or something. They started offering a course about Taylor Swift. Again, I think this was more towards her career and how she got to her position, which we can take it another way. But the main moral of the story is that you're going to see those types of figures amplified. Given these more immersive spaces that are coming, whether that be through VR or through some other form of technology that doesn't exist yet, those interactions will become just that much more amplified, that much more realistic, even though it will all be virtual. So instead of you liking a picture of, a TikTok of so-and-so or Taylor Swift or whoever for that matter, it'll be you essentially in there with them, like a simulated version of them. But it's just going to be like this right here. Like you could be a hologram of Taylor Swift and I'll be like this and you'll be talking because an AI chatbot's powering you. And I'm just watching like this, like, oh my gosh, like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy the potential downside and upside to these things, but I would just be very weary, especially if you find yourself addicted right now. Because I'm saying you will be caught blindsided by the knowledge and the capabilities that these, people have. But it is coming. I'll just say that right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since those are the potential negatives, should we talk about the potential positives?
Oh yeah. There are a lot of positives too. I mean, you can't have negative without the positive. One thing that I see for sure being a positive is just that it gives people a chance to really find happiness. Now, whether that happiness be, what's the word? Like kind of fakeish or inauthentic. Regardless, people will be a little bit more happy, at least in the short run. In the long run, I'm not too sure. If you're living in your dream world 24/7, at what point does it become a nightmare? Just sit on that real quick. If I'm, let's say, if I'm unsuccessful in the real world, but I know that I just have to log on and enter into a VR headset where I have, a mansion, cars, women, money, whatever. Why would I choose to immerse myself in reality when I have my fantasy right at the tip of my fingertips? Why would I choose to ever leave there?
So what you're saying is we already kind of do that with social media, living vicariously through other people's lives. But VR is going to take that to the next level.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen Ready Player One. It's one of my favorite movies, by the way. I recommend go watch it. But I think some type of reality, at least somewhere parallel to that, we may find ourselves in. And with a little bit of tweaks here and there, of course, it is a fictional movie. But I do think that the scope of it is at least somewhat accurate in the sense that you have these families that are all disconnected because everyone wants to be plugged in, doing their own thing versus creating, this bond with each other like a household. Everyone is just on their own. Everyone's being influenced by different things. Everyone's had, ads, commercials, whatever, targeted towards that specific person. It's just going to be a decentralized everything life. And at some point, it's going to become kind of like a dystopia, right? You can't have unity in society without unity in the household first. So if you disrupt the household, given with time, that's eventually going to spread out to the larger scale of things.
Yeah. That is very interesting because it's scary, but at the same time, even though, let's say in the next 10 years, when that does happen, because I think it will, I think disconnecting is going to become even more popular.
Yeah, isolation.
Being isolated from
this is why I said earlier, happiness in the short run. No human can be isolated from interaction for too long without becoming at least somewhat psychologically affected. Regardless of whether their interactions are virtual or in person, at some point it's going to alter their brain chemistry. Now, to what degree or to what extent, I'm not sure of, because this obviously is largely hypothetical. But just based on my predictions, I do think that we will see a shift in behavioral patterns, especially as the younger start immersing themselves earlier. If we have kids, and I've already seen people online, posting their kids what they got on VR headsets for Christmas and all that, which is great. But I'm just saying, be careful because you do not want them to go down a road which they cannot turn back.
I just don't understand why this is. We can't just use our rational thinking powers to be like, of course, the social media is bad. I don't want to give this to my kids. Why can't just that be the common way to think about this? Why are we just so engulfed? Why are we so connected? Why can't we just put it down and just be with our families?
Well, it starts with, like you said, the algorithm. A lot of these apps are based on things that will keep you on, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little kind of, and I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but it'll be a little hypocritical for people to say, don't do that, don't do this, when they themselves are doing it. Like Facebook scrollers or things like that. But I get what you're saying. Like, why can't people just wake up and realize, hey, I'm being taken advantage of? Because the longer I stay on this app, the more money this company makes. Or the longer I watch this content, the more money this platform makes. Things like that,
Yeah.
right? And really, I don't have an answer to that. I can't answer for every single person. Even I myself, I catch myself, just scrolling. I think majority of the time is because people feel like they have nothing better to do. At least in my personal experience, whenever I've caught myself, scrolling for far too long, it's because I felt like I had nothing better to do. Reality was I definitely did have a lot of, options that I could have taken, reading, working out, anything like that. But I guess whenever you've exhausted all those other options, let's say you've read your books, you've read your pages, you've gone to the gym already, you've already cleaned your room, everything like that, you already checked out of work. Like, then what do you do? I think that's why people find themselves just going on social media, kind of like, not necessarily like a reward, but more of just, like their second main activity of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people, at least for school age kids, they'll go to school. Then if they have practice or not, go to practice. Then when they get home, they'll just start scrolling on social media, just because it's the most entertaining thing to do. The mind will always pick the most enjoyable activity. Because why would it want to put itself through something that's hard? That's just a natural human reaction to just pick the most enjoyable activity.
Yeah, and I guess like who likes being bored? You know what I mean? We always have that thing to go to. And I think a lot of millennials can relate to that as well. Once the iPhone came out, boredom just went out of the window, right? You're standing in line before the iPhone, you're just there. You know what I mean? But now you can scroll on Twitter, on TikTok, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And the problem is that there's so many options out there that it's literally almost impossible to not get bored, because you're just going to find another alternative. Let's say you get bored of one app, boom, jump to another app. That app has no content, boom. You just keep on shuffling through your apps like it's I don't even know, like, but you just jump ship and jump ship and jump ship until eventually the day's gone by and you have to go to sleep. At least I know from my experiences and from what I've heard online that people have I've seen like, you know, upwards of 16 hours of screen time. People be talking about it in like someone's comments or anything like that. But it's kind of crazy just because, like, dude, 16 hours is literally more than half of your day. That means you wake up and every waking moment you're awake, you're scrolling on social media. Like, you are the consumer. That is literally the definition of target customer. Companies want you. They want that type of behavior. And that's what they're trying to get. They're trying to make everybody like that. You know, that person is making them money. That person is driving, traffic to their platform. That person is their target customer because that person is the one who stays on there the longest.
That's the truth, man. For real.
It's just kind of crazy because I feel like a lot of people, they don't really think too much of it. This is going to sound a little out of line, but just hear me out. It's a little bit like cocaine. You just start off small, but then before you know it, you're taking it by the grams, right? You just open the app. A lot of people open the app first thing in the morning, 2 scrolls. That's it. Then they get ready for the day. Lunchtime comes around. They're on the app for 20 minutes, right? Then they get off of work. Then what do? For 2-3 hours, now you're scrolling through TikTok, YouTube, whatever it is. But that's how it starts, right? A little action, medium action, big action. Next thing you know it, you're hooked. I think a lot of people suffer that same fate because I've seen it happen with myself first, and I've had to detach myself from, TikTok or YouTube or whatever platform that I find myself just consuming on. And people might say, oh, that's a little ironic because, you're literally producing content on YouTube. Our content isn't necessarily brain rotting. At least I don't think. Some people might find it like that, but at least, it's not like we're just giving you useless volume. At least I hope not. I hope to think that we're providing at least some type of value, or at least some type of intriguing thought discussion, right? Become a thinker. That's kind of like the main motivation behind the thing. But still, at least when you leave a platform or content thing, it doesn't make you just feel like, you're empty or you just wasted 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours just doom scrolling. Whenever you're on TikTok, you scroll past 15 videos and you can't remember any of them. I think that's a little bit of a problem, not only with people's ability to just realize what they're doing to themselves, but also it's kind of like a wake-up call, like, hey, like, this really isn't normal. Like, I just watched 30 minutes of content and I don't remember a single second of it. Like, that's not normal.
I honestly wonder how many videos you could watch within 30 minutes. Probably
a good
few hundred, maybe?
A couple hundred. If each video's average 15 seconds.
If that. And people get bored from the 10-second videos. Boom.
I know.
2 seconds. Boom.
It's really funny because I've seen an uprising of, the 2x speed videos with, the little Minecraft clips or the GTA clips below them. Yeah. Dude, the people's attention spans are gone. They are no longer existent. It was funny. I put up a little Family Guy clips in our math class the other day. Yeah. Just as a joke. But, dude, it was the fact that people have to focus on 2 things at one time to focus on one thing is kind of crazy. And the fact that they have to double the speed because the initial length of the video was too long is insane. Do you not realize what's happening before our eyes? We're doomed. We are cooked.
All right, let's take this a step further. We are being conditioned to the short form content subconsciously without us even being aware of it. What's the news? The news is just sound clips and just stuff being taken out of context too, right? So we're being conditioned to watch these short form clips, and then what the news is just like that as well. Stuff that's taken out of context, people saying sound bites and just saying it's just so weird. It's just like a weird time we really live in, right? So I think the only way to break out of this cycle that we're in, the cycle of doom scrolling, the cycle of, let's see, reacting to certain sound bites on the news, certain words on the news, because that's all manufactured. There's people,
a lot of buzzwords.
yeah, there's people out there like really like forming the perfect word, the perfect sentence for you to be like, oh my gosh,
Like,
oh my
check this out,
gosh,
dude.
yeah.
Boom, you know.
Right? So everything in our life now is short form content when it comes to news, the facts, doom scrolling, social media. So the only way to step away from that is to realize what they're doing to you, and how it's affecting you, and you being like, I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm not going to let some random scientists in a lab somewhere that's creating these algorithms to addict me to a phone so some advertisers can make money off my attention.
Yes. But I feel like there are two paths. And I just thought of this right now. All right. There are two reasons, at least in my perspective, in my mind. There are two reasons. Oh, dude, I just blanked. What did you just say?
Gosh dang it. No, what I was saying was...
Well, I'm a victim of doom scrolling.
What I was saying was, look, realize what they're doing to you. Get mad that it's affecting you in a certain way, making you think a certain way. And let's take it a step further. What they're doing, what social media is doing, they're manufacturing a certain culture. They're creating a certain society. They're creating...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
okay,
I got you.
Yeah.
All right, now, I get that, yes. But I just thought of, like, you know, the devil's advocate kind of point of view. And a lot of the reasons people find themselves on social media is just because, one, it's an escape, but two, I felt like a lot of people find... I'm going to take this kind of a little bit to a different path.
Okay.
But let's just talk dating for a second, right? Dating has been virtualized in a sense where that at least from my understanding, most interactions originate from an online, start. I don't really remember the last time I heard someone walk up to a girl or a girl walk up to a guy or something like that, or an in-person interaction happen that kicked off a relationship. I do think that still does, but I don't think it's as common these days. I feel like a lot of people find themselves getting into relationships through online interactions, whether that be, through Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, TikTok even. I just saw a thing that Roblox started wanting to make their platform a dating app, which is a little insane if you ask me, but I think that's, kind of an indicator on where these things are headed.
Do you also think that that's also a reason, like porn is also causing that as well? Because we get so much satisfaction from, it's so much stimulus watching something like that, right? So your libido goes down. Men don't want to go out and actually talk to women anymore. You know what I mean? So they're just like, oh, okay, there's 75 girls I could look at within the next 10 minutes on Tinder. Boom, boom, boom. So what's the point of going out and talking to somebody?
Yeah, I think it really just depends. I mean, personally, I feel like I've definitely tried to separate myself from that crowd, and I'm a little proud of myself for it too, just because it's taken a lot of strength. But I think I finally successfully have been able to identify myself as someone not a part of that. But no, I don't watch porn. I don't look at girls online or anything like that. I like to think of myself like, I'm a man of God. Boom. I'm trying to be a model for others around me, right? But I get what you're saying. A good majority of the population, or a good majority of men online, have seen at least probably one, explicit video, or willingly or unwillingly, or voluntarily or involuntarily, right? But at some point, I think something like that has been exposed to them. And I think I saw a study or a report that said that as young as the age of 13 is when the first interaction starts. And that alone is just, it's really sad to think about.
Okay, so camera cut off, but what Alex was talking about, the effects and the consequences of, I guess, like following social media when it comes to relationships and all the bad stuff that's in social media.
Yeah, you do not want to get, information on how to live your life through social media. Granted, there are some really good things out there that, can be found on social media. And to those people creating that type of content, kudos to you. But I feel like a good majority of the average person just, leaving their opinion on what should be, how people should behave, especially as you go younger. I feel like the younger you go, the worse the advice gets, which is really ironic coming from us. But we're different. At least I hope so. But either way, I feel like our foundation is a little different than most. But at least in my perspective, I do not want a general population who's grown up thinking that these toxic values are the standard. Like, I do not want to be, associated with a group of people, because it just hurts the image of, people my age, my generation as a whole. And to be honest, I can't put anyone at fault except ourselves, because we're the ones that caused it. But at some point, people only learn what they're taught, right? More is caught than taught. And if people see each other behaving like that online, who's to say that they're not going to go ahead and pull a monkey see, monkey do, and start interacting like with that with others in real life? Yeah. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah. You want to go ahead and switch lanes a little bit, maybe touch upon another topic, or yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about lack of awareness.
Ooh.
I feel like as kids, not kids, or but be adults, as people growing up with the introduction of technology and things like that, I feel like our global awareness is a little off, but not in the sense people think, right?
What do you mean?
Obviously, people are gonna have information about the events happening in the world, but I feel like just socially, we're a little unaware of what's happening to each other, right?
Wait, so do you mean that? But don't you think we're too aware of what's going on around us? Or do you think we're not aware of the right things? We're not focusing our attention to the right things?
I think it's more as like we're being forced to be aware of certain things, and people aren't necessarily choosing what they want to think. It's more of like, a follow the herd type of stuff, which some cases it's good, right? Because there are some things that need attention. But other times it's, a little bit more harmful than it is good. I just think people need to start critically thinking and, analyze things for themselves, right? I'm not a fan of people who get, their opinions from social media. That really irks me, because it just, it shows me that you have no backbone and you can't form a thought for yourself. That is the definition of, TikTok brain. They call it, TikTok rot. That is the definition of that. Someone who can't form an opinion for themselves. But either way, I don't mean to be hateful, but I'm just saying, if you cannot formulate a stand or a position or something like that on a certain topic, and you have to find out what others think about it first before you go ahead and make your stance on it, then it's a little concerning. Regardless, there are some exceptions to it, but, let's say if, I can't even think of a hypothetical situation, but I've seen things online where people have just, hounded someone for making a statement on there, and then all of a sudden, if you don't agree with this, then you're wrong, or you're a bad person, or you're horrible. And, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, because of course there are going to be times where, genuinely, if you don't think something if you see 50,000 people killed and someone's like, oh yeah, that's good, that person's, psychopath, get that Jeffrey Dahmer out of here, right? But there are some small things too, that people are just scared to speak their mind now, because, they don't want to be hounded by the general population, because all of a sudden, you're risking job opportunities, you're risking reputation, you're risking a lot of things. And so I feel like people are a little bit more conservative with how they voice themselves online, and they're just a little, it's like a what's the word? It's like a mask of their personality, right? I feel like people have online personalities, and then they have in-person personalities. I think the more you interact with someone, you can kind of like, tap into their real life personality. And a lot of people behave different online than they do in person, just because they want to appear a certain way online for the general population to see them a certain way, right?
Yeah, because of likes and attention.
Yeah, just because no one wants to be viewed as like an outlander. And this goes all the way back to biblical times. People didn't want to be viewed as an outcast. They didn't want to be. That's like if you were an outcast, you were the lowest of lows in society. That's like a complete. Get that person out of here. Like, I don't even want to look at that person. Get them out of my face. Like, if you were that person, then you lived a horrible life. I feel like the modern equivalent of that right now is someone who's like, people don't want to be around the person. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have an interesting point that I want to make here. I think what's going on social media, all the negativity, all the politicians spewing out what they want for the world to act and how they want to act. I think you learn more from a person learning how they live. For example, look, when it comes to the environmental situation in the world, right? We want to save the world. We want the world to keep going, right? I think we could all agree, left and right would agree on that. But when you're spewing hate online and being like, you need to live a certain way, you can't use straws anymore, or you can't use this, you can't use that. You don't learn like that. Like, let's say you were to go meet someone and they lived a very sustainable life, right? And they didn't waste anything for like a month, and you lived with them throughout that, and they didn't throw away anything, right? And they're just living their life like that, right? So I think you need to live a life, you need to fix yourself, and then I guess other people can model your life from that. So everything that's going on with all this negativity and social media online, I think that's the wrong way to go about changing the world. I think you need to fix yourself first, and then other people can model after that. And I think that's how you really learn a certain lesson.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the approach that I'm trying to be. Of course, I still have ways to go, but I'm trying to first make a foundation for myself on how I want my life to be set out. Of course, I'm still growing and I'm so young, so things are going to change in the future, but I want my core values, obviously, to be around things that I want my kids to live after, things that I want a spouse to have, right? Like, I don't want to attract the wrong type of person. That's a really big thing, too. I feel like people are trying to please the wrong crowd, but that's for a different conversation. But yeah, like, me, myself, like, I want my values to be, evident so that people know that that's who I am and I'm not, just putting on a facade. But I also want it to be known, like, that's who I am, too. Like, I don't, I'm not doing this to please you. I'm doing this because that's literally who I am, right?
Yeah.
A big part of that is, faith, just self-improvement, just knowledge, things like that. Like, those things, like, I do in and out daily, right? Like, it's just not an act that I put on for, my friends or for the camera or for any, like, that's literally how I behave. It's just, people are just kind of afraid to show the real authentic selves on them online. I think the problem is that people don't want to be themselves anymore, and that's just going to lead to a fake society.
Yeah, and that makes you unhappy too, and makes you uneasy, and makes you have a lot of insecurities and anxiety as well whenever you're not acting like who you really want to act.
Yeah, a good part of it, at least for me, is just judgment, right? You don't want to be judged. Me personally, the judgment, I couldn't really care about judgment, but I feel like for a lot of people online, they don't want to be judged by, girls or guys or whoever. But let's, Drew Walls?
No.
Okay, so he's a creator, and he would post, very, very recent, right? He would post him going to Target, like, in little clips, like their Target runs, that's what he called them. And for like an entire month online, he just got hate on top of hate. Like, oh my gosh, like, this is a middle-aged man recording himself going to Target on TikTok. Like, get a life, get a job. That dude just got a deal with the NFL and ESPN and got paid a bunch of money for not listening to the hate and keep on doing, because his content was what he wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't let other people's opinions affect him, which you shouldn't either, right? You should not let others dictate how you want to live. It's not their life, right? It's literally your life. Why would you let someone else control your life? Why? In 100 years, they're going to be gone. You're going to be gone. So why would you let them have an effect on your life? If that's not, something that you want to experience, then why would you let it happen? Things like that, like, if someone says something to you that rubs you the wrong way, or, it makes you insecure, just ask yourself, like, why is this making me feel this type of way? Why do I feel this reaction? And why am I allowing this person to have such an influence on my life? I was listening to Alex Hormozy the other day, and he was saying that one thing he was really scared of was judgment from his, I think it was his uncle. And then one day he realized, like, am I going to let my uncle, who is most likely going to be gone before I will, am I going to let him form a blockade on my life to not allow me to get to my goal, my vision? Am I going to really place that much power in his words, or that I no longer can achieve my dreams because I decided to listen to the opinions of him? A finite being. Are you going to let that power be bestowed onto others around you? People who you have never met in your life, right? If you're posting something online and someone comments something, rude or anything like that, like, are you going to let that affect you if you have no interaction with them whatsoever beforehand, after, so whatever it is? Like, no, like, you should not be allowing these people to have that much control over your life. You should be confident in who you are, right? And these people who are just spewing hate online or whatever it may be, right? Even if it's in person, just understand, like, why. Ask yourself, like, why is this person doing this? Like, are they trying to compensate for something? Are they lacking something in me? Do I make them insecure, so they're trying to bring me down with them, right? Things like that. It's just, you should not let someone's hate affect how you're going to be, because in 5 years, 10 years, that person is going to forget that they did that, but that effect still might be with you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and a lot of times we, I guess when you post some certain things on Instagram, you don't post them. Right. But you really do want to post it. You just have, I don't know what it is. It's really weird, right?
Yeah.
It's
like insecurities.
It's insecurities, but I guess it's all about perspective when it comes down to that, because it's like you're gonna let people you don't know at all. Like a lot of my followers on social media and the people I follow, I don't even know them. And yet to be honest, I'm still scared to post the things I really want to.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Like, I guess maybe it goes back. Maybe it's in our DNA that we just want to be accepted. You know what I mean? Like, we want to be socially accepted, and we don't want to be, I guess,
like an outcast. Yeah.
Like an outcast. But you could look at it the other way, another way as well. Like, I think when you meet someone who is genuinely themselves, they radiate a certain type of energy and a certain type of vibe, even if they're really weird. You just like them because they're themselves. They're authentic. Exactly. So it can go either way. So I guess it does go back to, like, perspective as well. But then again, I do think it is, like, kind of hardwired in us to want to be accepted. And especially nowadays, I mean, like, especially nowadays with social media, we always want to be accepted 24/7 every day. We want to look the best we can every single day. If we don't look good, we're, like, just filled with insecurities, because it's like, damn, how am I gonna post a picture on Snapchat or something? You know what I mean? It's just like, we always want to be socially accepted, and that's not a bad thing. But I think whenever it becomes it starts affecting your mental health, and you're like, I just want to be me. Why? Like, who even am I? And you start asking those type of questions, like, who am I? And then you're insecure, and then you're like, start doubting yourself, and then, like, you go down the rabbit hole like that. You need perspective is really necessary in that sense, and that's why, I've seen that Alex Hormozy clip where he says, in 3 generations, nobody's gonna know you anymore. Like, just really think about that. And then he has another, I guess, like, what's it called? Like a thought. What's it called?
Like
whenever you think about something, like a food for thought. No.
It's like another.
It's a word for
concept?
It. No. Like let's try and find the word for it.
Like another
TikTok brain.
Like another.
It's like when you
stance.
No, like a game, like a thought. Like you think about something, but like it's just a hypothetical.
Theory?
No. It's like, okay, look. It's like
situation, scenario.
No, it's like a way of thinking, right? but it's just like a hypothetical way of
Another
thinking.
perspective?
No, it's like let's see. It's gonna come to me. Hold up, please, Lord. Come on.
What letter does it start with?
It could be all of them, dude. I don't know. It's like, okay. It's like, let me see.
What's like the
The concept is this. It's like he has another way of looking at things, but there's a word for that. Like he uses this way of thinking to try and help his insecurities. So he brings out this statement.
model?
No. Anyways, it's whatever. It's a random word. Y'all, it's somewhere. He said that. I already forgot. No, I'm just playing. He said if you zoom out far enough, right, you don't even see the world anymore, dude. I guess that's what that's all that for that. Okay.
One of those words I said had to have been the definition for that.
It's a perspective thing, right? Because if you zoom far out enough, you can't even see the world anymore. It's just a blue bell dot.
Yeah, and it just goes to show like how small we really are in the grand scope of things. Regardless, like people would like to say, oh, it's a big world, so nothing I do matters. You can take it either way. Honestly, I like to say of it, make the most out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like I do not take my life for granted at all. Especially because things that have happened to me. When I was a baby, I got dropped on the head.
Nice.
3 times. And a lot of people think I'm joking when I say that. I'm not joking. No, I got a brain bleed and I was in the hospital for a couple of days. I had to get like tubes up along my face and things like that. But my life could have ended, 3 years out the womb. Boom, done. Never get the opportunity again, right? So the fact that I'm standing here today is just kind of like a miracle in itself. But there have been times, where I'm driving and then all of a sudden, boom, car gone in front of me. Like my mom last week literally just got into a car accident. Person behind her, by a miracle, is still alive because she slid under the car and like the entire trunk or the entire front part of her car gone.
Yeah.
Her legs could have easily been pinned up to her like that. And so like the fact that like she's still walking today, like that lady was still walking today, is crazy. But like it just goes to show like how precious life is and how for granted people take it. A lot of people are saying like I hate my life and things like that. And a lot of them probably have reasons for it too. But I like just be grateful that like you're still alive and especially if you have access to technology to watch a video like this, right? Like if you are in a different position, it'd probably be a little bit understanding. But if you have technology, you're probably in like in your bed or in a car or wherever, couch watching this or whatever. Like that is such a blessed position to be in because there are millions and billions of others who are fighting for food every day, literally fighting for food. And the fact that we are just so comfortable, and yet a lot of us still complain about our lives, even though we have all these resources available to us. Like the fact that we have, clean running water, hot showers, a warm bed, a fan, a shelter, a family to go home to every single day.
Yeah.
That is a huge blessing in itself. Like I don't understand how people don't realize it. Like I get it. There may be some things that are we wish we could fix, and there's always going to be those types of instances, right? But the fact is that if you even have one of those things, then you are such a lucky person. Like I would just want people to realize that like nothing in this life is guaranteed. I could walk out this door right now and be shot in the head by a stray bullet and boom, it's over. Like this would be the last thing I ever do in my life. Right? So every waking moment, just be grateful for it. If you are having an interaction with your friends, or if you ate a nice home-cooked meal from your parents today, be grateful for that, right? Because those things are limited, right? You're only going to have so many home-cooked meals. You're only going to have so many conversations with your best friend. It's only going to happen so many times before it's only going to be a memory.
So what you're saying is that we have all the tools and resources to make us content, happy individuals?
I'm saying that I think people are just kind of should take a step back and realize how lucky some of us are, really. I know a lot of us are we wish we could be this. We wish we could have Lambos on Lambos. We wish we could have Ferraris on Ferraris. We wish our house was bigger. We wish our family was more united. We wish this was different. We wish this was different. But a lot of us don't realize how blessed we are in the current position we are. Regardless of how askew everything else outside of us may be, if you are breathing today, then you are blessed, right? If you woke up today, right? I saw a thing online. It was like this guy was sad because he didn't get nothing for his birthday, right? And then someone told him it was like, my brother, what was the first thing you saw when you woke up? And he was like, my ceiling. And he was like, and what did you use to see him? He was like, my eyes. And he was like, then you are already rich, my friend. It's like, because your two eyes, people don't okay. So this is gonna be kind of like a silly story, but whatever. It's kind of like so. It's a good analogy. But I was in the shower the other day, right? And I got shampoo in my eye, and it hurt really, really bad. I'm serious, like it was burning real bad. And I was like, oh, like dude, if I go blind, I'm never gonna be able to see out of this eye again, right? And it just kind of like in that moment, it could have been like a minute max, right? But I was like, yo, if I never see out of this eye again, like it's gonna make me realize how much I took for granted. Just sight, something we do every day, just seeing, walking, talking, hearing, feeling, those types of senses, right? Not everyone has those, and granted, there are some what's the word? Like fixes for them now, which people are very lucky to have now. But so if you have naturally everything, if everything is still, intact on you, then you are extremely blessed. I'm talking like extreme, because I've had surgery done on me, because again, I've almost died a bunch of times, so I'm very grateful for my life, especially to be the position where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But again, I just feel like a lot of people just don't appreciate what they have.
Yeah. So what you're saying, to kind of just condense it into like one sentence, is focus more on what you have and focus less on what you don't have.
Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's always gonna have something else. There's always gonna be the person with the bigger house, the bigger car, the more money, everything like that. But if you can just find happiness in yourself and what you have, you'll be richer than any of those people.
How do you think we get happy?
I think happiness is something that has to be found. Now, it can be found in a lot of ways, right? For some, it's through, their occupation, their careers. For others, it's through, charity. For some, it's through, like God or something. Like that's what I find my happiness with. Okay, this is personal, but it's our channel. I can say whatever I want, right? But I genuinely think that I cannot be sad anymore, and because every single time I found myself sad, the first thing I did was I started praying. Because I know that, that's one thing that's never going to leave me, right, is my faith. And so instantly, at least to a degree, right, I still may be physically sad, but at least to a degree, the emotional pressure of the sadness is lifted. And I think just that, of course, that's where I find my happiness from, is my faith. But for others, some people will find, they'll kind of have like a parallel version to that, right? They'll be sad from, let's say, that you got broken up with. And then they'll go to their dog or their pet or something like that. Like they'll find their source of happiness from somewhere else. But I think happiness as an emotion is something that really is just individually allocated to somewhere. Whether that be a physical thing, a spiritual thing, an emotional thing, whatever. I think that's where that comes from. It's really hard to place a definition on, what happiness is, just because everyone has a different definition of it. But at least for me, that happiness is just, lack of sadness, I guess, by definition.
Okay. I have another loaded question for you.
Okay.
Very loaded. What do you think the meaning of life is?
Oh, geez. I think everyone has their own meaning of life, right? Some people's meanings of lives, some people's wait, are we associating meaning with purpose? Do you get what I'm saying? Because I feel like meaning of life would have to be, it's universal.
It is universal?
The meaning of life has to be, it's universal. Because everyone has to be born for the same meaning then, right? Purpose is different. What is the purpose in your life is going to be different than the purpose in my life.
Well, yeah. Well, then I guess I'm asking, what do you think is the universal meaning of life?
Man,
Do you think the question is more interesting than the answer?
Well, I think everyone's gonna have a different answer. Obviously, in my answer is gonna be a lot different than let's say the next one's answer, just because mine's probably gonna be based off of something else. But the meaning of life, at least for me, is just to build a relationship with God. That's all I can say, really. If He brought me into this life, then He deserves to get my attention from it. That's all I can say.
Interesting.
No, the purpose in life, it's kind of following that same scope. I think the purpose in life is just to extend that hand,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like I'm kind of doing that right now, but at very, very small steps, right? Very, very small steps. But at least to some degree, I want to start, interacting with people in the real world.
Yeah.
And whether that be through charitable events or kind of like how Mr. Beast does it. He kind of does like a little bit more, content-based type of thing. But, you're just spreading love and things like that, right? You're just spreading happiness and joy. I think if you can bring someone a smile to their face, then that's a good purpose in life, to just make others happy. Of course, you want to make yourself happy too, but I feel like if you find a good balance, then that's a good purpose in life.
Nice. Yeah.
And the good thing is that that's something that does not cost money to do. Now, to the degree, at least, you might have to have some type of, funding involved. But even if I just tell a joke right now and it makes you laugh for 2 seconds, right? Then I just spread a little bit of joy, right? So that's something that, doesn't cost any bit of money, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that actually could be repeated over and over again, it's just kind of crazy to think about, because you're literally, there are people out there who I look forward to hanging out with because I know that I'm gonna have a good time with them because of they're funny, they make me laugh, things like that, and I hope that people have the same reaction when I hang out with them too. But it's just little things like that in life that just make it so much more worth living for, because the more people that you have that just try their best to help make you happy and you make them happy, and feel like you're just gonna live a really good life regardless of money, anything like that, because that is something that money can't buy, and that is something that is so genuine and authentic that is literally priceless.
Smiling. Yeah, smiling is free.
Smiling is free.
And sometimes it's hard to smile, but I guess let's say, okay, so for my example, in my situation, I have a sales job. And the main thing is just to smile at every customer, even if they put their hand at you. You know what I mean? Go, no, or just completely ignore you. Just keep smiling. And that's almost a superpower.
Yeah.
Because you smile and you release some serotonin, right? And people smile back a lot of the times, right? A smile is very contagious, and it doesn't just make the other person happy. It genuinely makes you feel good as well. But that's something I had to learn to develop the habit of smiling more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw this thing on, it was, I forgot where I found it from. I want to say it was online. But it was if you smile for 60 seconds, regardless of your mood currently, you will be happy from now and then 60 seconds later. Right? If you genuinely hold the smile, then you will be happy. You'll just start feeling happier. And I tried it and it worked. I felt happier. At first I was kind of neutral. Right? And this was years ago too. I was probably, a kid, but it worked. And I was like, wow, the power of a smile is kind of underappreciated.
It really is, yeah.
And, just smiling at people in public too.
Just being positive. Bless you, jeez.
Dang. Wow.
The power of being positive will get you to places you've never even dreamed of.
Oh yeah, a smile can take you in places you dream about going to. But I want you to sit on this thought for a second, right?
Okay.
When was the last time a stranger smiled at you in public?
Well, earlier today, but that's because I smiled at them.
Without you interacting with them first?
A lot of people are just living their own lives, man. People do not care that much.
If you smile at someone in public, then it's gonna make you you're just gonna spread that feeling of just happiness inside, internal happiness, even if it's for a brief moment. And so I think there's something really special about that.
like whenever you see it, like whenever someone smiles at you in public, you remember it. And also the other way around, when someone looks really mean,
Oh yeah.
they like look at like, oh, you know what I mean? You also remember that too.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it goes both ways. Oh, what did I do to? Yeah. But I think it's such a cool thing when two strangers when two strangers have a wholesome interaction together, and then they just go on about their day. But for those brief 10, 30 seconds, whatever, they shared the same feeling. Isn't there something cool about that? Like, isn't there something so special about that? Because those people who, without prior interaction, all of a sudden shared a similar experience, and then again went about their days. Like that's probably gonna stick with them at least for like the rest of the day.
Yeah,
right?
and I think that's better than interacting with people and being a positive, happy person and smiling at people in public. That makes you feel better than getting those cheap dopamine hits online.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly, and it's probably credited to the fact that it was an in-person interaction, and I feel like those are kind of getting a little bit more scarce these days. So the fact that someone went out of their way and shared a wholesome moment with you just makes it that much more special, right? Yeah. In all honesty, I can't remember the last time someone gave me a smile or at least something in public. I try to do my best to just try to make people, whether it be something as small as holding the door open for someone else or, just something like that, right? But I feel like those types of are just going away a little bit. Not necessarily the basic ones, but just like smiling at someone or, complimenting someone in person.
Yeah.
Without the motive, without what's the word? Without a provocative motive behind it either. Like it's just a genuine compliment. Like, hey, you look good today. Or like, hey, I like that outfit on you.
Yeah, you have nice shoes. Yeah. Look, one time I complimented a guy's shoes. Dude, and the smile on his face. Honestly, dude, nice Jordans, man. I really like your shoes. And it's just like, people are not going to be like, you know what, screw you. You know what I mean? Like,
imagine. No, but yeah, I remember I was at the gym, and it was about a year ago. Dude, the fact that it was a year ago, and I still remember it, just speak volume to it. But the guy was like, what college you go to? I was like, oh, I don't go to college. He's like, you look about 25, that's how big you are. I was the happiest person at the gym for the rest of the day. I was just driving home like this. Like that, dude. I swear, I put on the best happy music ever. Dude, the fact that he went out of his way and complimented me, granted, I'm not even bodybuilder big, but I was just flexing in the mirror trying to check out my progress and all that. And he complimented me. He said, hey, man, you look good for your age.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Thank you, bro. It genuinely brought a smile. Because that was the first time that happened to me. And it was just so special because, this person could have chosen to, A, said nothing, B, said something negative. But he chose to be, he chose to compliment me.
Yeah.
The fact that I remember that now is kind of crazy. So, if you want to make someone's day, give them a genuine compliment, right? And I think that's what do you say?
I would say that is the takeaway from this little segment right here. Be positive, give people compliments,
Spread love, and love will be given to you.
and smile.